Hello, this is Tom with the Tractor Rescue Ranch. I got a project I got to get done on this John Deere 60. It had it parked outside. We had a storm coming in, so I started it up to pull it in the shop here, keep it out of the weather. But anyway, I started it up and it was smoking real bad. So I only drove it 100 yards, parked it in here, and I come in here to start looking it over to see what was wrong. And I've got gas in the oil. So I'm gonna have to drop that oil out, empty all that out there, and evidently my automatic shutoff is not working. So gas just come out of there through that automatic shutoff into the carburetor and down into the motor. So anyway, I went and ordered a new quick kit to rebuild that. So we'll be rebuilding that automatic sediment bowl there. Okay, gonna pull this thing apart and get it rebuilt. Hopefully that'll stop that problem with the gas going into the crankcase. It's not a very good scenario. We've got two oil lines to get off here. One of them comes from the oil pump and the other one goes out to the oil pressure gauge. Trying to see what I'm doing here and not cover up that camera. Gas line doesn't want to split in the right spot. That gas tank was almost all but bone dry. Oh boy, there's the sediment bowl. Look how gummed up that is. Amazes me that tractor even ran. Not only did it run, but it ran good. It's no wonder the darn thing wasn't doing its job. Anyway, I've got a rebuild kit for this thing ordered, and I'll get it all cleaned up and get that rebuild kit in it, and we'll go from there. So how this thing works, gas comes in here and then out to this little button right there, And then when the oil pressure turns on, it pushes a diaphragm in there and opens that little button and lets gas down into the sediment bowl. So that whole thing must be gummed up in there like everything else was gummed up. So I'll get it cleaned up more. It was unbelievable to me how much gunk was in here. I guess that old gas that's been sitting in it for years and years does its thing and leaves deposits. When I bought this tractor, it had been sitting for a long time, and I actually anticipated having to work on the fuel end of things, this sediment bowl and the carburetor, before I even got it running, but I got lucky and it started right up when I first bought it. Anyway, it got me home, got me started with what I was doing. Boy, one of the things I need to invest in is a good parts washer. Looks way better. Pull this diaphragm off and see how things looks in there. This adjuster here on top, you're supposed to be able to push it to turn the gas on in case you don't have any oil pressure and you need to fill your sediment bowl and stuff, but I don't know. Look how loose it is. I don't know if it's supposed to be that loose or not. Honestly, I like this idea of John Deere's, as long as it proves to be reliable. Theoretically, the carburetor should stop that gas from going all the way through. The floats in that carburetor should stop the gas from going all the way through into the crankcase, but I find that to be pretty unreliable on these old tractors. I always shut the gas off when they're not being used. So that diaphragm don't look too bad. Go ahead and replace it so that when the new one comes, so that everything's going together new. Got a little push rod in here. So this piece evidently is just supposed to be loose in there, stuck behind this diaphragm. Just a little bit of a loose bolt in there. Well, that's got some dirt in here, so between these two here is where the oil pressure would come and operate that diaphragm. Oh, I don't know if I can get that lined up to where the camera can see it. Look at the dirt down in there. So on this little valve here, that dirt down in there was hanging it up and not letting it close off. So that was the problem. Right there, I always love it when I find the problem. Something that was obviously the problem. Just a little clip there on that spring. Pull that clip off and that will release everything. Look at all that garbage in there. That's all what was causing my problem. It almost looks like sawdust. It's kind of odd to see something like that in there. It's probably mud dauber nest or something. So I'm going to guess there's supposed to be a seal there, a rubber seal like a rubber gasket or something. I can see some fragments of what used to be there, but it's all completely gone. And that surface that it works against is all rough. So I'll probably have to polish that surface, and then hopefully all of this stuff will come in that new kit that I've got ordered. Well, until I get those parts in, done pretty much everything I could do. I think it looks completely fine to rebuild and be able to rely on it. These rubber gloves, I buy these are the thick ones, the heavy milled ones. Get them at Harbor Freight, they're really cheap. I very seldom use them when I'm doing my mechanicking work, but I sure don't like gas and diesel and the way the smells it gets on your hand if you're working with gas or diesel or this solvent. So I always wear them when I'm doing something like that, but just general mechanicking, I don't really enjoy wearing them. Well, my rebuild kit showed up for this sediment bowl on the John Deere. Just wanted to show you here a little bit. That surface right there is the surface that closes the valve so the gas can't come in. And that was so corroded. You can see how corroded the rest of everything is. I just took and put a really fine belt on my belt sander and just polished that so that we've got a good clean surface there. I think that's going to work really well. It didn't matter that I took it down just a touch because there's a spring on this back end and an adjuster, so you can adjust it wherever you need it. But I got this thing cleaned up real nice, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back together and get it back on the tractor. Okay, it is all back together and ready to go in the tractor. All cleaned up. I think that we're going to be in good shape here. So what you do here is loosen that nut on top of that, and you can reach in there and push that valve down. Fill the sediment bowl. I just left that gas line off there for a minute till I got gas coming. There, got it coming there. Then just tighten that back up. Put it back together. That's pretty cool. That valve, you could see when I was running, that valve was down, letting gas through. Shut it off, the valve goes closed. I really like this option that John Deere made way back in the day. As long as it's working right, I think it's really a neat way to do things. So this project is wrapped up. Thanks for watching.